I am Erica Hamlet. I am the mother of Jawan Nicholson. I am in support of reforming the Maryland Public Information Act because when my 16-year-old son had a gun pulled on him by a police officer, the fight to have accountability and justice for my son was very difficult. And I would hope that no other family would have to go through what I went through. In November 2017, an off-duty plainclothes Baltimore City police officer approached my son in our community of Howard County, told him that he looked like he was out of place. They engaged in conversation, and when my son asked for the officer to leave him alone, the officer pulled a gun on my son. When I got the phone call of him screaming, saying that a man had pulled a gun on him, I assumed he was being robbed. And I called the police, and then we later found out that it was actually a police officer. I was angry and hurt because my son had never been in an altercation, had never committed a crime, had never had a weapon pulled on him. And the first time he did was by an officer of the law that was paid to protect and serve. Even today, it still affects my son. I call it police brutality exposed PTSD because it never leaves you. My family and I are anxious all the time when we see police officers because of the harassment we faced and being laughed at when we went to file a complaint and being told, well, at least my son didn't die, go home and wait until Monday to file a report. It has been an uphill battle trying to have the officer held accountable for his actions and his admitted behavior. I applied for the Maryland Freedom Information paperwork, and I basically was denied. They went past the 45 days. When I called to inquire about what was going on, I was told things like if I was nicer, then maybe I could get the information and the assistance that I needed. My son's case sat for almost 3 months. Then after that, we found out that the statute of limitation had run out, so the officer's cases were dropped. The officer that pulled the gun on my son and 13 other officers will probably be back out on Baltimore city streets policing just because of a technicality. It is imperative to have all of the pertinent information when you seek justice. The need to reform the Maryland Public Information Act is so that officers and the infractions and the punishments and the crimes that they commit be made public. In a normal work setting, if I committed a crime at my job, it would follow me. Other employees would be able to look up my work history to find out whether they wanted to employ me or not. That should be the same for our police officers. The officer that pulled the gun on my 16-year-old son was also charged with breaking the jaw of a suspect. That information was only made public because of the lawsuit. So it's important because officers' information is shielded and victims are not. Information about the case is sometimes redacted and when it shouldn't be. It is your right to have certain information, and it should not be on a limited basis because of who you are or where you are. It has taken me almost 4 years for the officer to be held accountable. There were too many loopholes, too much red tape. It is imperative that the reform happens so that citizens can feel safe when filing complaints against officers.